Like as soon as you go to edit it, before you add in the clips that we just recorded, just like make a long fart noise or something. Like just throw everybody off, and then go right into the conversation.
All right, for real.
Anime
Intro starts now.
titties.
Mike!
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a rage-fueled episode of Party Chat, where we talk about shit that doesn't matter because, I mean, fuck it. We don't have very many listeners anyways, right?
Aspirations are
This is episode 3. For those of you who haven't listened to us before, go check out episodes 1 and 2. They're equally as shit.
Title garbage.
I'm your host, Josh, and with us tonight we have...
Hi.
every week.
Fuck me! After Spencer goes...
Snake. Ryan.
Sevy.
Coming to you live, 2 a.m. Oh wait, wrong show. It's Tyler.
He's making it a thing.
I never remember who it is. Okay. Tim.
It's Mike. It's Mike.
Tyler. I gotta remember I come after Tyler. Right?
Yeah, I don't know who Tim is.
I really like
Mike.
No, I
There
think
actually there is a story behind that.
my super weird intros that throw you off.
It could be.
I was
Here's a
kind of
question.
waiting for after Tyler says Tyler to Mike be like Tyler.
Nah, I was watching a GIF of kittens.
Oh, that's
Of course,
absolutely,
of
no,
course.
totally explainable. I'm coming in hot tonight with a new segment. Yeah, ooh, I'm coming in real hot with a new segment that I'm gonna call "You Know What I Really Hate," and I thought about this over the last few days, and it's just gonna be, it could be me, it could be Spencer, it could be Tyler, it could be anybody. Shit that we really hate about the gaming world. And you know what I really, really hate is fucking game reviews and reviewers and the impacts that they have on the titles themselves. Now, hear me out. I've played a ton of games in a ton of different genres over my 20 some odd years of gaming, and I've come to the conclusion that reviewers are the worst people to plague any kind of media outlet in the history of ever. And I'm going to explain that. Now, games are a subjective art form, just like the painting of the house on the hill with the dead tree reaching to the sky that your aunt has in the hallway for no reason at all. Just like that album, the metal album or the country album or the rock album that, everybody else hates, but you love because, it makes you feel. Just like any movie. Everything's a subjective art form when you get down to it. Granted, some games are pumped out on a year-to-year schedule because devs know that they're going to sell umpteen billion copies because 14-year-old kids love to tell me how much they've slept with my mom over Xbox Live, looking at you, Call of Duty. But some games you can really tell that they're passion projects that people have sunk countless hours and resources into in their home office whilst juggling their full-time jobs and families, only to have, Joe Dickface from IGN take a turd on what they've worked on for possibly years in a 4-minute review. Now, don't take what I'm saying out of context and assume that I mean that all games are good and we should buy them all, because obviously that's not the truth. There are some real big turds out there, and some titles will catch your interest. I'm sorry, what?
Evolve.
Deep Space Waifu.
Space Waifu. Evolve wasn't that bad. I mean, for a game
Wasn't that good?
I mean, it wasn't that good, but
I still haven't played it to this day.
And you bought it.
You
After
pre-ordered
buying
it, bought it, and never opened it.
Fuck
Obviously, there's certain titles that are going to catch your interest and others that are going to fly by you because they're not your cup of tea. But the moment a game releases review copies, and whoever the fuck, Pablo Powerbottom from bestreviews.com says the game was awful.
He's my neighbor.
Because he doesn't like the story or couldn't get behind character development for whatever reason. And he influences your decision to give the game a chance, the game that you've been looking forward to, the terrorists have won.
It's my new Steam
They
name.
won. They won.
I am now Pablo Powerbottom.
Listen.
Like,
Pablo
next-
Powerbottom,
like-
he's a douchebag. Bestreviews.com. Never go there. It's an asshole site. I don't even know if it's fucking real.
It's false.
It's false. They're not the best reviews.
They are
But
the worst reviews.
the example I'm gonna give is Dark Souls. Okay, now Ryan, shut your whore mouth.
Shut it.
Shut it. Go back to your home on Whore Island and shut your mouth.
Don't go down this
I'm
road.
gonna look at Dark Souls, okay? A game where people are split, especially in this group, okay?
I hate
I
it.
I have an opinion on Dark Souls. Ryan has an opinion on Dark Souls. I know Tyler has an opinion on Dark Souls. Okay,
Do it, Bill.
And Ryan
so
just happens to be wrong, so that's we got that out of the way.
hey,
Xbox One X.
Captain Japan hater, shut your mouth. Dark
take this
Souls
with
is
me,
a game
guys.
where
Don't do
people are split. Shut up, Ryan. Some people love the series for its unforgiving nature and its lack of direction it gives you from the start. I mean, to be honest, you're dropped into a world where you know nothing and you don't know where to go because the opening cutscene starts off just speaking in riddles about hot and cold, life and death, and light and dark, like some kind of Katy Perry Yoda mashup fever dream. And I mean, you can't really gather anything from the images they throw at you because basically they introduce some characters you know nothing about and they tell you they kicked ass against some dragons. And that's it. That's it. So there you spawn. I think you're in a prison and you don't know anything about yourself, even though you created your character. The controls are clunky, not at all quick to respond like you feel they should. You immediately feel a disconnection from your character that, I mean, like I said, you created because you spent 20 minutes in the character creator, just like you do every other game. But get this, a mechanic that wasn't explained. You look like a 93-year-old dude that goes to the gym, rides a bike for 10 minutes and works up a sweat, walks around the locker room for far too long after he's showered. You're just a naked fucking old dude walking around.
This Terminator?
Yes. Here's where I make my point. I wouldn't know any of this had I listened to my friends on this game. My buddy Max was playing this game. I asked him about it. He said, it's really hard. I don't like it. I don't think you'd like it. I saw Ryan was playing this game over Xbox Live. I called him up. I was like, hey man, is this game good? And I remember this from all these years ago. His words to me were, I've been running around for hours, killing things and dying, and I still don't know what I'm doing. You wouldn't like it. So I took that at face value, you know.
Wait, this is Max that said that to you?
No. This was
this was
Ryan
me that
that
said
said that to me.
Oh, okay.
That I
2011.
wouldn't like it. Yep, in
October-ish.
2011. Yep.
If you really want to get specific.
Was it October or was it November?
Because to be fair,
October.
That's
October
Max in every
11th.
game.
Well, yeah, Max in every game it's really hard. I don't know what the buttons are. I don't like it. But Ryan told me he's been running around for hours, killing things and dying. Still doesn't know what he's doing. I wouldn't like it. I took it at face value, and the game kind of left my mind as something that I'd want to play, right? So fast forward a few years, I'm living by myself. I'm across the country. I have an Xbox. Xbox came out with this thing called Games with Gold, and lo and behold, the gold game this month was Dark Souls. I thought to myself, let's download it. Let's check it out. What do I have to lose? It's free. What am I going to do? Delete it from my hard drive, free up a few gigs. And you know what? I loved it. The clunky controls gave you a real sense of a punishing feel for when you inevitably panicked and started to button mash when like 3-4 guys came at me at the same time. And I can't handle that shit. I panic under one dude. So, I mean, I'm not a power bottom. I'm not Pablo. But, and I wasn't... It was a game of trial and error where you go into areas of the game because again there's no real direction. You go into areas of the game where you're not high enough level and you lose thousands and thousands of souls, which are the currency for that game, to level up because you get cocky and you don't want to trek back to a bonfire to level. It was an infuriating RPG with a ton of roguelite elements that, you know, you expected to die hundreds and hundreds of times, and that was okay. And I wouldn't have known the rage-inducing joy that was Dark Souls had it not been for a free copy. I played the game for countless of hours. I broke my first Xbox controller because I think my words were, that death is bullshit. And I gained a love for a series that I would have never known because I didn't check it out for myself. And some people hate the series for that exact reason. Tyler, I know, hates the series because he says the controls are unresponsive and it doesn't go where he wants it to. And I think we've had this conversation before.
No, that was Skate.
Sure.
Oh
Okay.
no! Come on!
Let's not travel down a rabbit hole here. Skate's a good game too, and some people hate the game for the exact reason why I said that I loved it. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, air quotes, a good game can be a relative term, just like a good song or a good movie.
Two Humans, the best game of all time.
I actually really like Two Human.
It's awesome.
Play a game because you want to, not because people tell you it's bad or it's good or anything like that. You know, just like when we all got into 7 Days to Die. That game is a steaming garbage fire.
Of fun.
Of fun. At the core, the mechanics are fun. Everything, the survival about it is a lot of fun. And I mean, yeah, sure, it hurts you to look at it a lot of times, but it comes down to, are you having fun? And I mean, I feel like reviewers and people that vomit their words out over the internet a lot, like I'm doing right now, have a lot more merit than they should. You know, I feel like if you're looking forward to a game, if this game reaches out to you and says, you'll like me, play me. I mean, sure, you're going to get burned a couple of times, but...
Are you describing
Right, and
games or a
that's
strip
what-
club?
It's people that don't want to, so they don't have all the money. They can't buy everything they want. So you build a relationship, getting the feel of somebody that does play all these games, gets a feel for what they like, and if you kind of have the same similarities in what that person's going to say about it, to save yourself money. Because sometimes, you know, that $60, you know, if it's a mistake, is, I mean, you could have used that on, you know, baby formula. You know?
I mean,
You
if
probably should have
you're
done that in
buying,
the first place.
if you're buying a game that makes
know,
or breaks your budget over, you know, baby formula or
Sure.
food or anything like that, you probably shouldn't be buying games in the first place. But
No,
Hey.
agreed. But you know what I mean.
right,
Your
no,
idealism has no place in this world.
I get that too, and again, you're gonna get burned either way, you know, because this dude that you may have been following, let's take Joe Dickface from IGQ or wherever from the internet, but he may agree with you on a lot of topics. You know, you may feel like you have the same views as he does on a ton of games, but then, you know, he's like, this game is awesome, I got behind it for such and such reason, and I bought it because of this, and you buy it and you're like, I fucking hate this game. Or, you know, you could be looking forward to a game and they could be like, you know, this game's awful, I hated it, I couldn't get behind it, 2 out of 10, and you buy it and you put 140 hours in it, you know. And I mean, you're gonna get burned both ways. It could be.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
First of all, I will get my revenge about both Dark Souls and Skate very soon. Secondly, have you ever
That
read
wasn't a
review on
question.
have you ever read a review on Kotaku?
I mean, I've read reviews. I read reviews all the time.
No, let me defend this for a second with what he's kind of saying is Kotaku does not assign a score. nor does it even say yes or no anymore. It just talks about the guy who played the game and what he experienced.
Right.
Now,
right.
to that degree,
Well,
I don't even...
I read a review on Kotaku. What was it for today? On my lunch break, I read a review, and what they list are not a score, but pros and cons, and even pros and cons are subjective.
Yeah, I don't want to live in a world where there are no reviews, because we need to actually monitor what's being put out on the market. Yes, it's completely subjective, and people need to understand that from the get-go. But if we don't have some media outlet like Metacritic out there that is at least, I get it. People should make up their own minds when it comes to games. Absolutely. But if you get enough points of data from different people and consolidate it, you can at least get an overwhelming picture of what is going on in people's general consensus on something. And that should govern your decision. I'm not saying
obviously there's a correlation to those. I mean, if you were to put them in a Venn diagram or a line graph or anything like that, there's going to be a correlation if you get enough points of data. But
I'm going to cut in and dance with you ladies right here, because you're all referencing statistics under the assumption that the statistics are being applied in an objective basis, and they're not. That's the problem with Kotaku and PC Gamer and IGN and all these other fucking shitholes, is that they're all for profit. They don't give a fuck about what they're writing. Some of these assholes don't even finish the game before they publish the reviews.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't trust that. That Metacritic is one thing. That is your statistical collection, and that's one area. You got to get multiple sources, and you got to make sure that.
And
honestly,
definitely don't
professional
trust
gaming reviews.
Powerbomb.
It's hi.
But games are a subjective thing, so we're never going to have an unobjective view of it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and frankly, this ties back into the whole argument of journalism in general being corrupt and not an objective, unbiased resource anymore. They are all for profit. They stand to gain in some way or another based on the content that they publish, and they start pushing shit, and they start pushing agendas, and then they have investors and they have stakeholders who start to give them direction on what to write about and what tone to write about it in. It's
unfortunately, really, you can't trust anyone. If you can't trust journalists, definitely can't trust Metacritic. I mean, because you can't trust the internet is the issue. So you really can only trust your friends. Too many people are out to just see the world burn.
In
Like,
the example that I gave, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but
the example you gave. I mean, that's just.
Friends, I would have never known a game that I've played through all 3 games. And I would have played through Bloodborne as well, except I didn't have a PS4 because I'm not an idiot.
And I I think the bigger reviews are out there for people who don't live and breathe video games.
Right.
That's a good point.
I don't know that I have ever made a decision on whether or not to play a video game based on a review score. I may have I could probably count on one hand the number of times that I've ever done that. For the most part, I'm reading about or listening about games months before they ever come out, and make up my mind well before a review score is ever given whether or not I want to buy that game.
Yeah.
But to play devil's advocate, though, just a little bit, sorry for cutting you off.
You're good.
But to play devil's advocate, I would say you're still reading something, right? So it's someone else's opinion on a game that hasn't been brought out. So as much as we're saying that reviews, have a biased view, I mean, to some extent, you're also reading something else that is giving you an opinion. Am I wrong?
No, you're right.
I mean, it's more like, information about what the game is going to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's no score associated with what I'm looking at. To me, the idea and concept sound cool. And more often than not, I do this with movies too. I watch movies based on the director more than anything else. I watch all the Tarantino films because I like the director.
And don't watch anything with Leonardo DiCaprio, but that's a whole nother.
Also, fuck him. Stop dying in movies, you fucking piece of shit.
I love him.
But Wolf on Wall Street's real good.
But most
Pablo
of the time,
and Leo forever.
I will buy video games based on the developer because I like the studio and I like the stuff they put out.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm playing new games, it is usually at the recommendation of my friend. Now, I think the missing piece of this outside reviews in general is Twitch and people streaming content. Now that's a whole nother ball of wax.
I think we missed a really big point
but-
though.
But I have identified with Twitch streamers, and I have found people who share my interest in video games. And if they are having a fun time with something, I will typically buy it. And that's kind of the avenue I found myself in, rather than going and reading a hard review.
I can get behind that. What was the big point we missed, Ryan?
I've had reviewers flip me on a game I would never have bought, and then enjoyed the shit out of it.
Right.
Sold
Which
original
is what
Sin
I
2
was
to all
saying.
of you.
Which is what I was saying. I mean, you could get burned both ways.
Oh, you can, yeah. But like, I think for me, Dragon Age Origins is a perfect example of that, because it was a game that after Dragon Age 2, I was so pissed off about. No, sorry, not Dragon Age Origins. What's the third one? Inquisition. Sorry.
Yeah.
I love Dragon Age Origins. That was, to me, a fantastic game. Dragon Age 2 comes out, and it is
It was a pile of shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. It had nothing that I liked about the first one. It went much heavier into the action category and stuff like that. So I was done with Dragon Age, and I see a review for Dragon Age 2, or Inquisition, and I was like, wow, like apparently they turned it around. And I ended up picking that up a couple days after release and just had the best time of my life with that game. I mean, sunk hundreds of hours in and just enjoyed it. And I wouldn't have done that had I not read a review or two.
Yeah, see, and that's where I saw that game by the Twitch streamer that I now follow.
Mhm.
That's what turned me around in the series, because I had a terrible time in Dragon Age 2. I thought the series was pretty much
Dragon
done.
Age 2 was so bad. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
I liked it.
And see, and that's where the difference. No. That's awesome, because that's where my point is made. Is because it came out and I don't know what the reviews were on it. I could probably look it up real quick, but I don't really give a fuck to.
For Dragon Age 2?
Because I've never been a fan of the Dragon Age series myself, and I played Origins and I
8.5.
played Inquisitions. Okay, it got an 8.5. So Mike liked it, and you guys didn't, and Mike never played it for himself. And when did that game come out?
Oh, fuck.
2011.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that's
2011. So back when we were all still playing video games together on a regular basis, before we split consoles and stuff like that, and we were talking every day, and had before Mike even touched it, Ryan and Tyler came in and was like, "This game is shit. I hate it. It's bad because of X, Y, and Z." Mike, would that have influenced you at all? I mean,
Nope.
You don't think it would have at all?
Nope.
All right. I mean, so you are the
I-
example.
When I think
you
a
are the
really
example
good,
that
so-
I'm giving here,
Well,
is that we should play games because we want to, not because of what people say about them.
That's exactly why. It was BioWare, and it was a Dragon Age IP. I mean, that's the same reason I bought Mass Effect 2 and 3. I had loyalty to the IP at that point. They won me over. I gave it a chance.
Right. Okay.
But
Fair enough.
That's why I played Dragon Age 2, and ultimately why I played Inquisition. But I think I understand what you're saying, and I think the biggest reason, or probably the best point, is as Mike and I are, Two Human is the best game ever made.
Oh my god.
I love that game.
So
Mike and I can't tell you the amount of
You're
hours
welcome.
and
You're
the amount
welcome.
of yes,
that.
thank you, Spencer. Also, thank you for
brought
Mass
all
Effect.
that game to you guys.
You're also
yeah.
the reason we played Mass Effect.
Yeah.
But Mike and I played the shit out of Two Human, like hundreds of hours.
yeah.
And like it wasn't until we came up for air after our 400, 500 hours in Two Human that everyone was like, "This is the worst game ever made." We're like, "What? Oh, are you what? I just played this game for 500 hours. How is it the worst game ever made?" And for the longest time, Mike and I were the only two people to ever champion that game because of the amount of fun we had in it.
Oh
And-
man, the hack and slash element with your abilities and everything.
Well,
just
plus
like
the
that.
verticality of the combat.
It was just so much fun. I remember in college, in a college budget, I was going to school for 8-9 hours a day, and I also worked 2 jobs. I worked at a pizza place and a car wash, And I remember spending $70 because that game was hard to find at a GameStop because I wanted to play it so bad. I wanted to play it again. And that was after, I had sold it back and everything like that.
Ooh.
I agree with you completely that that game was way worth it.
I
Good
was
news
feeling
is
real
you can
good
buy it for
about myself
$29.
and my game suggestions there. With those two, Mass Effect killed it. Too Human killed it. Then I realized I also recommended Brink.
Hey, Brink was
boy.
fun for 48
I-
hours.
I liked Brink.
Yeah,
Brink was
I
fun
I
for
had
about
fun. I had fun with
8
it with the
hours.
time that we played it.
yeah, I didn't hate that game.
I think I only got like 20 hours out of it though.
Yeah. No, I don't know about Brink. I think it was ahead of its time, honestly. I think the ideas were ahead of its time, and the execution wasn't
With
what
the
we had
smart
expected.
movement system.
Yeah.
Was it
Smooth movement
movement
over
over random
uneven terrain or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Going
something
back to your point about like when you have a game about or a game provided by somebody who's working in their office while working a full-time job and stuff like that. This leads me to actually bring this up in context for once. Stardew Valley. Think of how much reviewers helped that game.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's what I'm saying. It could go either way, but I feel, and especially and I watched a documentary on. Anybody else here played Super Meat Boy?
Yeah.
That
Oh,
game,
I've seen the documentary.
that game is fantastic. The controls are tight. The levels are difficult as fuck. I mean, I spent so many hours in that game trying to beat all the levels and get all the band-aids and save, your girlfriend or whatever it was. And, and then I watched the documentary, and it was two guys that made this. And, their reaction when it got put on the Xbox Live Marketplace, back when Xbox Live Arcade was still a thing, was huge. It was immense. They jumped for joy in their office. And this game was made by two guys that lived miles apart from each other, and they conversed over Skype, and they made the game that way. And that's insane, but had that game, not been good and it got placed on the Xbox Live Marketplace, reviewers, obviously they would have killed it.
Was that still when that was in the summer of Arcade, and I think that game actually reviewed heavily well.
Oh yeah, no, it
actually.
absolutely did review heavily well. But that's not the reason that I bought it at all. I bought it because I liked the art style in it, and when I watched a trailer of it, it showed these huge jumps that you had to make, and you were being chased, and there was a sense of urgency and a fanatic, pace to yourself that you had to do. And I mean that's my kind of game. That's why I play Overwatch, honestly, because you just get
Back
fucked
to your
all the
point,
time.
Ryan, with Stardew Valley too is another thing to consider that's more prevalent in the past 5 to 10 years has been the social media aspect, because when Stardew Valley hit big, there was people on Reddit buying keys for other Reddit users because they thought the game was that good. And that's going to influence so much more than any reviewer could ever say. Like, if there's actually a community that follows it and says, hey, I want to help this game out, here's a key, here's the game, play
That
it.
was Stellaris for me. Tyler wasn't the first person to bust Stellaris for. I just thought the game was so fucking good, and I had the asset. I had the money for it. I was like, I need to distribute this. People need to play this with me and experience this.
Yeah,
But
I've bought games for friends. I hear you. When you're that passionate about it, it goes a long way.
I think the biggest thing that we're touching on here is it's a situation where you're buying a digital media, you're buying a digital content license. There's no refunds. So people are looking for every little tidbit of information to build up as much consumer confidence as possible before they pull the trigger, because you can't refund it. The Steam refund process is finally here, but it's bullshit. You have to have owned the game for less than 2 weeks, and you can't have played more than 2 hours of it. How can you get an accurate assessment of a title within those 2 hours? And so in the interim, we turn to reviews. But now you've got these freaking morons like, here, let me go to Grand Theft Auto really quick, and I'm going to read you some of the shit that streams in on this. And then you can actually look at what Steam had to do to counter it, because it's called review bombing. Steam had to put in a new review mechanic so you can visually
they
see
actually
right
put
here.
in charts and shit.
Yeah, well, you can see right here in this new chart exactly where Grand Theft Auto devs turned off the support. They issued a cease and desist for the mod API developers because on that day, June 1st, 2017, 45,889 negative reviews came in. That's how many negative reviews were pulled for June 1st. And that, I mean, it's a sack of shit. It's a catch-22. You either turn to the reviews and you get the morons who sit here and complain about the game because they were modding and then they got banned, and then they give it a negative review because they got banned and they got caught. Or you look at the good reviews where the guy literally just said, good. That's a review. Or is shit. That's a review. Bad review.
Yeah.
I mean, you either turn to the reviews and you try
I would
to
base
get
my
somebody else's
decision on
opinion,
those two reviews.
or you roll the
Straight,
dice,
concise, to the point.
and it's a solid 50-50 that the consumer gets fucked on a purchase because digital content licensing is a one-directional road there.
Right.
It was never meant for money to go back into my pocket if I'm not happy with my product.
Right.
See, and that's
guilty of
why I
reading
think
shit reviews like that.
I think that, and that's why I think, and personally, that's why I started looking at Let's Plays or watching Twitch feeds, because then I can actually watch the game in action. And I've been playing video games long enough that I know when I see something whether or not I'm going to like that thing, and I'm not relying on a review score or a person's perception of what they're playing. That said, there's still some rotten stuff going on with Twitch and with Let's Plays, where people are, and the FTC did step in and try to clean some of this up. But you do have people that are being given copies of games and not disclosing that information and making it sound like the greatest thing since sliced bread. But for the most part, as long as I could watch 3 to 4 hours of a video game and determine whether or not I'm going to like it. And I think that's why you're seeing the video game industry getting consumed by this, because the other problem with reviews is the fact that they're not living. Like, a review is done a few days after the game comes out, and then nobody ever follows up on that based on the development of the game, especially in an environment
most
where
reviews
video
are done
games
before the game comes out now.
Yeah, well, they're playing a full version of the game, but they get it early. But the bigger problem is the fact that they're reviewing a video game and then it lives in a vacuum. But the problem is, in today's environment, video games are living. They're constantly getting patched. They're constantly getting updated. There's constantly new content coming out for these video games. And the review never gets updated based on the new content or the patches, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're watching a live Twitch stream or watching a Let's Play series, the content creator is going to comment on those changes and also comment on how the game has changed for the better or the worse based on the content that's come out for it.
Yeah, I mean, some reviews do get updated from time to time. I don't like IGN. I don't like Polygon, but
IGN sucks. They are by far the worst.
They are. But
shots
they do
fired. IGN,
Shots
come
fired.
at me.
Get them, because I'm right there with you. But there are some reviews that don't. They'll do a review in progress or something like that. And I'm actually in the camp of that reviews are bad for the industry overall. There are some points or some games where they really do benefit it, and people do benefit from finding out the game is fantastic. But yeah, on the whole, they're really damaging to a person.
I'll take it a different direction, and I'll say that, like, I have no problem with a well written out review that explains why the person playing that game enjoyed it. The problem is most people don't read that, because we live in 2017 and you can go find a fucking video and you don't actually have to read anything. So the problem is people are looking at a score and determining whether or not they want that game based on the score. Now, the game may have a 9.7, but it may not be a genre or a style that you like. And if you don't actually read that review, you could end up getting burned on that 9.7.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying you shouldn't just go based on reviews. But we're gonna leave this topic behind, because I said this is gonna be a rage-filled episode. Now we're getting into the more intellectual side, and we're losing our anger. And I don't like.
I'm still angry.
I'm angry too.
I'm still pissed about Dark Souls and Skate 3.
Dark Souls is a puzzle game.
Tony Hawk was better.
End you.
Yeah.
Tony Hawk was. Fuck you. Fuck
Dave
you,
Mirra's
Mike.
the best.
Dark Souls.
Dave
Hey, there
Mirra,
too.
BMX is good.
BMX Triple X.
Yeah.
Aggressive
Aggressive
inline.
inline.
Yes.
No.
The next thing on my rage-filled agenda that really pisses me off is pants and the SNES Classic, the SNES Classic. Okay, I had the same feelings about the NES Classic, and I have the same feelings about the SNES Classic. Now, why the fuck would you put out a console that can fit in the size of your hand, okay, that is basically a ROM emulator that gives you the exact same games that people had 25 years ago? Like, this makes absolutely no sense to me. Anybody in the PC gaming world or any gaming world at all can tell you that you could get a ROM online and an emulator and you could play that game and you don't have to pay $80 goddamn for it. Like Super Mario World, it's a great fucking game. I would still go and play it till this day. It's one of my favorite Super Marios of all time, and I really like Super Mario. But you know what? Kotaku gave it a review and they said that it was an awesome console as a whole. In today's console world, how is an emulator, a basically a glorified Raspberry Pi, going to be a great console for what you want to play? And it comes preloaded with only 21 titles. You can't add more. You can't take more away. You can't do anything to this thing.
You can.
You can't though.
You can.
I've been reading up on it. Yeah, if you want to mod it, but at that point, get yourself a fucking emulator on your desktop.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Why would you pay $80, go through a bidding war with these scalpers that buy 10, 15, and the person that I'm talking about is listening to this podcast right now, and she fucking knows that I'm talking about her. And why would you go through all this to get a something that you could get for free? Why would you do that?
Well, if you don't have a PC, it's not free.
Yeah.
Well,
here's the other thing.
you could run Super Mario World on your phone.
Yeah, but
I could run that shit on a TI-82 that I used in calculus back in high school. You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. That's another thing that pisses me off.
There is a difference, and I don't really necessarily understand the technical stuff of this, so I don't know if anyone can shed light on it.
The difference is legality.
Well, that, but also there's a difference between hardware emulation and like an actual emulator. Like if you're like an actual console, it's not as much of a software emulation. Like if you know what I mean? Like there's a difference there.
No, this is a hard
changes
emulation
things, which I don't really quite understand. But I know from listening to Giant Bomb, those guys, Jeff has a bunch of emulators and loves playing around with those boxes. But I have no idea.
The thing with this is it's actually it's the same insides as a NES Classic too. So not much has changed besides the casing and what they're putting on the system for when you're buying it. But I don't like pirating things. And that selection of games they've put on the NES Classic, am I going to buy one? No. Do I want one? Yeah, maybe. If I saw it on a store shelf and I was about to check out from Target or something like that, I'd probably buy one.
You'll never see one.
I know, I won't. But what I'm saying is, like, if it was there and I could easily buy it for $80, it wouldn't faze me to buy it because what's on it. And there's the whole edition of Star Fox 2, which is an unreleased game that is actually being released for the first time on there from that generation. That's a pretty cool idea. It's something different. Regardless, it's still a fucking Raspberry Pi in a goddamn box. I mean, come on. You can, if you want to, and you want to play any of those games, literally, you can have it in 3 minutes by Googling it and hitting download and downloading an emulator. It's done.
But, I mean that's I guess that's my biggest thing is how do companies like Nintendo that are huge global I would say powerhouses, but Nintendo has lost a lot of its a lot of its vigor throughout the years with like the Wii or the Wii U, and but I mean, how do they get away with this? Charging, $80 for something that people could get for free.
Well, that's not even the worst example of this. Like the recent thing that Sega released is like it's
What is that?
egregious.
I haven't heard
compared
about
to
that. What is that?
Are you Sega or you mean Atari?
No, Sega did
no,
re-release.
Sega released a console that had as they noted 80 games.
Mhm.
But most of them were like unlicensed, unfinished. Like it was total garbage. The emulation was bad, the sound quality was terrible, the UI was like laughable. And they released this thing for the same price because they are legitimately just in this for the cash grab.
Yeah.
At least what Nintendo is doing is nostalgia based, and it's something fun that like a grandmother can get for her grandchild or something like that. But the stuff that Sega released is just absurd. It's just a bad quality product. They're clearly trying to make money off of it.
Hey guys,
Sega is a console though, because what they did with theirs is they actually put it so you could actually put an old cartridge in it and play that game even if it wasn't on a system. Yeah, you can actually put an old cartridge in it. However, in order for that cartridge to work, you have to put it in while the system is on, shut the system off, and then reboot it.
Well, how about the?
Well, I mean, that's no different than playing with
how
a
about
regular
the? How about the
NES.
Street Fighter re-release that will catch your Nintendo on fire?
That's true too.
You hear about that?
Yeah.
That sounds like real life street fighting.
Nate, you were about to say something. What do you got?
remember when Oyo was a thing?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Ouya.
Oh yeah,
whatever it's called.
Oh yeah. Whatever.
Let me hook
it
up
was.
this box to my TV so I can play phone games on my TV. Yay!
That was a Kickstarter, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I
it
think
was.
so.
It was, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think so.
Somehow successful Kickstarter.
This is why the console world is
Well, I
bad.
think the
Spencer.
bigger problem around the NES Classic and the SNES Classic is the fucking false scarcity that Nintendo is creating around it.
Oh
And
my
this
God.
this is not just the SNES and the NES Classic. Nintendo fucking sucks at meetings. Like they do not understand supply and demand. Like
I mean,
every console
do
release
they
that they
really,
have had, it has been impossible for people to fucking find it.
I walked
And-
into Target day one and bought a Switch though.
Yeah, but it's still to this day, like if I'm trying to because the Wii U was a fucking garbage system.
It wasn't
And I'm
that
like,
bad.
I'm a little bit hesitant on whether or not I might want to get another Nintendo product. And the Switch turns out to be a pretty big hit. And guess what? Nintendo didn't manufacture enough, and still, like, I don't know when it released, but we're pretty far from the release of the
March.
Switch, and it's
Yeah.
still pretty difficult to find one.
Yeah, if you're in a
March
big
8th.
city, it is difficult to find. The demand is definitely there for
You
it.
got any opinions on this, Mike? All
He
right.
hates Nintendo.
Good drop in
But-
from Mike.
I've also just disliked Nintendo for a long period of time.
Fair enough. The Switch
Yeah.
isn't a very good console. And I'm not gonna sit here and defend it, but it is held up more by its exclusives than it is the actual console. Like it's great, you can take it out. It's
Yeah,
portable, all
and this
that.
is also coming from a man that hates platformers, so take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah,
also.
and let me
Yeah.
tell you,
I mean, you
Breath
hate
of the
Mario.
Wild.
I don't like Mario. Unpopular opinion of the day.
Fair enough. Do you like Sonic better? You were a Sega kid though. That would make sense. So,
I played Sonic. I don't know that I ever enjoyed it all that much.
Okay.
Earthworm Jim Squad?
Oh my
Yes.
God, Earthworm Jim.
Yes,
yeah.
I loved
Earthworm Jim.
Favorite
Anybody-
platformer of all
Toe
Anybody-
Jam and Earl.
No, that was Toe Jam and Earl.
I was gonna say no Toe Jam and Earl.
Oh,
as
I thought you
in-
said Jim and Earl.
no Toe Jam.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah,
I like
anybody
Jazz
ever
Jackrabbit.
play anybody ever
Lemmings?
play Booger Man
No,
I
did.
have. I have.
on the Sega? That shit
Yep.
was so fun.
Oh, dude, Lemmings.
Oh well, we lost Mike.
I
He'll be
played a lot
back.
of Lemmings.
Yeah,
Mike is currently
probably.
putting together a computer at the same time, so
Yeah,
we'll
he
excuse
needs
this.
he needs his time.
Yeah.
While we still have a raging bed of coals here, I'm gonna touch on another subject that really just I touched on it in week 1, and it
Don't
was
touch me
towards
there.
the end. I will touch you where I want.
Don't
and
touch me there. It's my no-no square.
He's Peter Griffin tonight.
What really grinds my gears
Yeah.
is
And the lawsuit starts.
I'm a fake lawyer. I can handle this.
I'm so fucking sick and tired of people putting out the same titles over and over again with no, like, I mean, a remaster is a remaster.
Skyrim.
And that's exactly what I'm fucking talking about right now. Skyrim. I'm so goddamn sick of hearing about Skyrim. And you know what Skyrim's doing? You know how Skyrim Special Edition came to Xbox One, and they gave you the ability to mod it, and there was this great mod. It was called Frostfall, and you got a new experience in the game, and it was like a survival element, and you put all this time and resources into surviving in the world of Skyrim instead of just leveling up a character and beating the shit out of dragons and dead dudes and whatever. Skyrim, Bethesda is Draugrs, whatever. Bethesda is now putting resources into making Frostfall, not Frostfall, but their own DLC of the game. Because beating up dragons and dead guys was not viable anymore. Now,
It's funny.
like, whole parts of the map have been zoned to reflect climate and players needing to be careful in colder areas to avoid freezing to death.
Wait, are they charging any money for what they're doing?
I
Yes,
don't.
they are.
Are they?
Oh,
I
Okay.
just downloaded this today. I opted into the beta, so I'm going to go on a rant for a quick minute or two.
Well, give me a
before-
second. Give me a second,
Okay.
because I touched on this
I
in
played this
week
today,
1.
so yeah.
Because this pisses me off more than anything else is because they introduced mods into their game, but now what they're doing is they're taking mods that they're essentially taking a mod that fared really well and they're putting it into their game as their content. And that pisses me off more than anything else out there, because they're taking someone else's idea and they're making it their own
thing, and there's already
God
been
damn it!
backlash of it.
Why'd you have to bring that up?
Yeah, that's what this
Better
is.
than
This
what?
is-
That's what it is. And I swear to God, if Bethesda releases this and tries to monetize it, the backlash is going to be unbelievable.
Well, they've already modded it out in Fallout.
Yeah.
well, I
it's-
mean, they're adding things to where you
Remember that?
you
They
don't
made a mod to mod to not appear in the mods. It's
Yeah.
just
like
like the stupidest thing.
if you don't eat, you die. If you don't eat enough, or I mean, if you do eat enough, you get
Okay, so it's a couple different mods. then.
a well-fed bonus.
Mhm.
Raw food can get you sick.
I
A
think I had
well-cooked
that, like,
meal can
Modded
get
in
you
like almost
feeling
2 years ago now.
feeling great. I
Yeah.
mean, there's fatigue and there's all this stuff where you actually have to sleep instead of just like standing and waiting in town until shops are open or something like
That's
that.
actually a significant change over just Frostfall. I mean,
Right.
I see where you're going with this, and I don't want to detract from Frostfall, because Frostfall is a fucking awesome mod and completely changes the game. But if they are trying to monetize the stuff that already exists, that is kind of scummy.
Yep. Now, like I said, I did play it today, and it was cool. If you opt in the first week, so if you go to Steam and opt into the beta version of it, you'll get the mod for free forever, as long as you hit download. But it is a Creation Club thing. They are going to charge real money for it once it launches in a week. And that's not something I'm for, because mods should be free. That's what keeps the life of a game going. Skyrim would not still be a game that we talk about and play today if it wasn't for the mod community.
Yeah.
Right, and that's absolutely true. This game
Yeah.
launched on 11/11/11, so it is almost 6 years old now, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
this game has been through its paces, and like I said in week 1, episode 1, I've run up and down this map countless times, and I've done every side mission and put countless hours into it. I think my last playthrough I got up to like level 80 something, and then I got bored with it. And yeah, it's a great game, but why do you continue
Now-
to put resources towards this game that you're
Well,
not
they're not going to make
expanding?
another one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing is why are you putting resources towards something that you're not expanding? You're just kind of adding things to. You're not adding new content. You're just adding, I guess, a survival mode or whatever instead
let me
of putting resources to something that more people would be latching onto, like an Elder Scrolls 6. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
They're not
There
going
is
to make that.
Oh, I know.
there is
I
some
absolutely
merit
know
to
that.
this though. There is, and I'm not saying this is it's 800 coins in the shop, and I'm not sure what the to that is. I think it's like $8, somewhere around there. So it's $8 for a new difficulty mode, basically. And yeah, that doesn't come off as great. I'm not gonna go for it. They're basically taking Frostfall.
So I got to pay $8 for a
mod.
new game plus.
Yeah, almost. But there are some caveats to it. They're taking Frostfall and then they're taking the survival mode Fallout that they added, Fallout 4, and kind of mashing them together. It's nice because with a lot of the mods you get out of the shop, you can't change UI elements. And with this, they actually have different HUD elements that pop in or out. So it's easy to tell if you're in a zone or an area that's actually going to do damage to you and what's actually going on with your character that wouldn't be possible in the base game or through the general modding without using Nexus Manager or that. It's well put together. It's well thought out. It's basically Frostfall with the food elements and stuff. I don't think you have to feed your
Yeah,
companions.
the food elements are a separate mod.
Yeah, that's a different mod. So there's a couple things in there. It is really well put together. It actually feels like a natural extension of the game to where it doesn't feel like it's tacked on or anything like that. And I'm not trying to make it sound like you should go out and buy this because you absolutely should not support this. This is a bad thing that people are doing for a game that doesn't need external support. And what we need to do, but as a whole, it's a decent product. It's not worth $8. But
Well,
if they're charging $1 or $2 for it, I'd be perfectly okay with it because it feels like a natural extension of the base game. I was actually really impressed when I went through a river and a little HUD marker came up next to my minimap, or not minimap, but my bar telling me how fucking cold I was. That was great. I didn't have to hit F5 or Z or whatever to access my shout menu to see my temperature and stuff like that.
Wait,
so that
what version of Frostfall were you using?
It's not. It's a paid mod.
No. I'm saying what
We're
mod
talking with
did you
the
ever have to
special
use B?
with the special edition.
It was
Did you guys use?
Frostfall gave you powers
Yeah,
basically to see what your wetness and exposure was.
You didn't need powers to do that.
That's how they
it through the
programmed
mod
it into
shop.
the game.
Yeah,
No,
if you
there
did
were
through the mod
separate.
shop.
There were separate mods to introduce HUD elements. Like that. That's the thing. You said that there were.
I didn't
you
have
couldn't
those
do
mods.
HUD element. Yeah. Well, I mean that's the incomplete experience then.
But what I'm saying is, as a one-click download from it, I'm not advocating they shouldn't be charging what they're charging for it, but there was at least a little bit of work put into it.
I mean,
I'm with
I
Mike.
can
If
use
you want
mods too. Look
if
at
you want to
Hearthfire.
do this, if you want to do this by yourself, you can
Hearthfire.
spending a dime. You can
I'm just saying. I think
So-
saving $8 is worth 5 extra clicks.
I think.
Oh, no, you're right, you're
but I think so. I can kind of see one side of this argument, and modding. It's gotten easier with Workshop, but when it was Nexus Mod Manager, like that's kind of a difficult experience. It's a hard ask for a general gamer, I think. You kind of have to understand some things about how PCs work and file management and where games are stored. And if that isn't stuff that you understand, I can kind of see charging for ease of use on some of this stuff. But I think the bigger issue that I have with all of this is the fact that it's just perpetuation of Skyrim and the fact that we're never going to see a new Elder Scrolls until ESO dies, if ever.
Well, yeah. And I mean, here's the thing. We're lucky enough to be on PC where we can download the different mods to make all this work.
Yeah.
Not spend a dime.
Well, and I also
is
think
coming
that
to console.
I also think special edition was cool for console gamers because they didn't have mod support prior to that.
And it came out at a price that wasn't $60, if I remember correctly. Wasn't it 40?
I think
don't
so.
remember.
Yeah,
I didn't buy it.
Yeah, again, like I like Skyrim. I will usually boot up Skyrim and start a new save using like the new beginnings mod or something like that.
I love that mod.
Yeah, something that will let you do something different. It's a great game. It's a great sandbox. I'm not taking anything away from that. And on a PC, like if I didn't download this mod, and you guys can all do it. If you listen to this with next week, you can go on there, opt into the beta, and you can get this mod for free. And it will be with you for the life of the game. That's great. If you can get it, because it's worth actually having and not having to do those extra 5-10 clicks or whatever to download stuff. It's
Not at
really well put
$8.
together. What's that?
Not for $8.
Yeah,
No, but
I mean,
if you
like
get it for free right now,
yeah, like I said, with
It's
the
well put together.
addition of the workshop, I think a lot has changed.
Mhm.
You know, if this was an era where your only option was Nexus Mod Manager and actually having to like manipulate INI files and shit to get mods to work,
But-
that's a different conversation.
That's
Yeah.
Fallout. Skyrim's mod situation out of the box was quite friendly. The problem, the only reason they're taking advantage of this right now, and the only reason this might actually get some traction whatsoever, is because the script extended for the special edition hasn't been released yet. It's like finally in alpha state, and everybody thought he was dead. But
that's kind of my point, though, is like unless you're, you don't even have to be super knowledgeable about computers, but like let's say you're just a base user and you've got a PC and you're running NMM, and then I want to use these 3 mods, but I need SKSE, and I want to run an RNB mod, and now I have to manipulate my INI. Like it's pretty involved. And
EMDs are another story. Yeah.
No, but we are that subsect of people that will go through those lengths to get something to work because we're bullheaded and we're pissed off when it comes to stuff that won't work, and we'll sit there and troubleshoot together to make stuff work. But when you're talking about general people, man, I know people who make buku bucks and they'll throw $8 at something and not give it another glance.
Well, and I think the missing piece of this obviously is the work that they've ripped off to create this stuff, and the people that, and maybe they are. I haven't read into this enough to know if the original developers of Frostfall and I Need and some of these other mods are getting any kickback from this stuff. If they are, then I probably feel a little bit better about this. But if Bethesda is just straight up ripping off the work that these other mod developers have put in and then charging people for it, I think that's probably a pretty bad look for them.
And I checked the workshop or whatever it's called right in the game on the special edition, and those mods were still available from what I could see at this time. So I don't know if they're getting kickback, and if they're not, they should be, because those were mods they've been out for multiple years at this point.
I mean, Frostfall revolutionized that game,
and Campfire with it. That's not included in this. Campfire, the whole setting up camps and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not. And it should be, because that's such a great idea. Like, you're going to find, they've disabled fast travel. You're going to find yourself in the middle of nowhere in that game at the dead of night, and your character's tired, and you're going to want to settle down. And now you're just going to take a penalty to either your health or your magic at this point, or stamina. I'm not sure if that's in there or not. Again, I played about half an hour, 45 minutes of it. You're going to find a penalty to that doesn't let you have a way around it. And in Frostfall and Campfire, by combining those 2 mods, you had a way of settling down if you were carrying the appropriate things, starting a campfire and setting up a tent to where you can negate all of this stuff. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to play more with it over the week because, again, like the actual presentation of it, it felt like it was actually integrated in. It didn't feel like I was loading up a mod. It felt like I was playing Skyrim with a couple of new tweaks. And that was cool because it was by, or through them at least, it had the endorsement of them. And it didn't alter the game where I was hitting Z to shout to actually look at my menu for certain things through that workshop. And Mike said,
I'm going to counter that, though. You did that wrong. you didn't install it all the way.
No, you're totally right. I didn't. But I didn't look deep enough into it. And that's the thing, is like most people are not going to look deep enough into it.
That's my basic argument for this stuff.
Mike, you're 100% right. If I were to sit down and I didn't put the time into it that I really needed to, it was click this, okay, good to go. But it didn't bother me enough to really alter my experience. It was just part of the game at that point. But with this, it felt a little bit more natural. And if you're a person, or if you're on a console, this is what you're going to get. This is all you got. And that's great. That's great. There's at least an option for you if you're willing to put down $8. I'm okay with that. Again, I'd rather go the harder way because I'm a bad person and I like to fuck with files and stuff like that. I just didn't come at it at a time where I had the time to look through all of this. But yeah, if you want to do this all yourself and you're on a PC, go for it. Do it. It's up to you. You don't need to give them money.
Yeah, I just like with this. I just feel like the people that were responsible for the original content should be getting credit. As long as that's happening, I don't know that I have a problem with this.
I don't know if they are, and if they're not, that is a problem because they should be getting old idea at this point. And yeah, Mike, you're right. I mean, anyone who's gonna sit there and have the time, be like, well, I can make this better. They're gonna be able to.
Let's move on from this subject a little bit.
Next.
And
That's
next.
my transition.
I'm pretty raged out for the night, honestly. Those were my 3 subjects that I was
I'm
just
exhausted.
super mad about today. And
Let's talk about Divinity for 40 minutes.
Let's not do that either, because
I need an hour at least.
That's another 4-person podcast that you guys can do on your own. I don't give a
Deep
fuck.
space waifu.
Deep space waifu.
Yes. Let's do it, Mike.
Let's talk about a game where you shoot from a ship to shoot an anime character's clothes off. No, let's not talk
FTL.
about that. Let's
Destroy
it's
alien
FTL.
colonies and do some cloth damage in giant girls.
Yeah,
I like sex.
Seek your path to the perfect date.
That's awful. That is just bad.
Just
What are you
remember,
going for? What are you
girls
going
will
for?
be watching, so don't muck it up, bucko.
Okay.
That's the game description?
Yeah, that's the game
That's there, that's
description.
in
Yeah,
text.
that's the synopsis. If it was a book, that's what you'd read on the back.
Yeah.
98% positive reviews, guys. Just
Fuck me.
Do you think it's a good game now?
No.
98%.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I
I'm
mean-
clicking that buy button.
Is there nakedness?
I
Probably
don't know.
not.
Let's go to the community hub.
There's-
Community content for
there's
this product may
probably a
not be
mod.
appropriate for all ages. Continue.
Oh.
Yes, there is.
What do we got? What do we got? What do we got?
You know what else?
Oh, yep, titties. Titties.
Ooh,
Oh,
Good.
what's the
Vagina.
game called
It's a
again?
good game.
cartoon
Green
titties.
pubes.
Spencer.
What's that?
Green pubes.
Spencer.
Oh, that's not the name of the game.
Yes.
How do you feel on cartoon anime titties?
Oh, good actually.
Fuck off, dude. You have been the sole hater of anime and all things Japan for as long as I can
Anime,
remember.
not hentai.
Oh.
Not hentai.
Oh,
Different.
God.
Hentai, the best thing to come out of Japan since 1988.
Fuck that.
Ryan, you'll agree
Tentacle
with
porn
me
and
with this.
shit. Blue.
What's that?
This game belongs in a bar because we're in Bay City. We played a game. It was
Go
the
on.
new matchup game,
Yep.
and it was a spot the difference game they had set up right on the bar, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
fucking hilarious because we'd
I
always
played it.
play. And whoever gets the highest score gets a free drink.
Yep. Been there. That's a real thing that does happen in places that people pay money.
It gets harder the more you drink. It's weird.
That works for both ways.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's both ways.
That's a true statement.
Yeah. Anyways, Josh, back to your original point. You were saying.
Yeah, point.
I mean, I was kind of saying, but
Say it.
I just, you know, we
Preach it, brother.
always talk about games that we really like and stuff like that, and games that are popular, and you know, Divinity, Original Sin 2, and all these other games.
Second best game ever behind Two Human.
You know, you know what? You know,
I'm
know
gonna
what?
go with Trophy Fishing 2. Game of the year.
I don't like Too Human, but I will say I will agree with the second best game ever statement about Divinity because that game
Tony
is a
Hawk is better.
masterpiece.
a game that infuriates me more than anything, and I know that
You
I
said
got-
you were done raging. What happened? We're back.
this
We're back to
isn't rage. This is infuriating joy.
You're reading chat.
It's
it
kind of
Star-
like it's
Stardew
kind of like
Valley?
no, it's
Yeah.
kind of like Dark Souls. The Stardew Valley is like you play that when you want to relax and wind down for the night, and you farm for a couple hours, and then
Or Elite Dangerous.
you know you're good. Yeah. Speaking of Elite Dangerous, the aliens
yeah.
have started to kill players, but we're not going to go into that right now. That's
Good.
another topic
Fuck
for
those
another-
players.
Yeah, fuck those players. They deserve to
Star
die.
Citizen for life.
Elite Dangerous, very good game.
Wow. It is
But
a good game.
a game that I've tried and tried and tried and tried to get into. I've played
Have you tried
multiple. I tried it one time, and
Are you sure?
they I played multiple matches by myself and with friends. Fucking PUBG. I cannot bring myself to that game. And it's weird because it's my kind of game. It's making decisions on the fly. It's you know determining whether I want to stay or go or jump into a firefight. It's everything on paper is my kind of game, you know. And on top of that, it's a shooter. I fucking love shooters. Halo, Overwatch, all that shit. I fucking love it. But this game has me every time I look at it in my Steam library, and I feel bad because Ryan, you bought it for me as a Steam gift. And every time I look at it, I'm just like, oh my god, I don't want to play you. And
You know,
I don't
I can
understand
echo
it.
that sentiment because even though I bought it for you and I have it, I love that game. I love what it's about. But I have to be in the mindset when I play it that I am not going to win. If I put that in my head, I can have fun. And I can have
Well, it's
But
like,
I wanna
did
win!
you ever... No, time out. Did you ever play 1 versus 100?
No.
Yes.
Oh god, that was great.
Probably one
Never
of the best
actually got
games
to
of all
play.
time.
Never got to actually play, but I watched.
Okay. You do not go into 1 versus 100 thinking you're going to win. You go in trying to have a good time. And if you do the same in PUBG, it is a good time.
It is. No, it's a great game. You
Best
should be
game
optimized.
ever. Uno with the live camera.
If I wanted to see, you know,
I
some
watched-
dude stick a broom
Can you
handle
mute
up his
Spencer?
ass,
Can you mute
I
him?
would play
Cut him.
Uno with
Cut
the
him off.
Xbox Live Vision camera.
Cut him
True
off.
story,
He's
that
done.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, not
but
done.
no, PUBG always, like, you're right. When I look at my Steam library and I'm like, man, what do I want to play? That game always like piques my interest when I look at it. And there are times when we're playing, when we've had some really great moments on it where it's the funniest thing in the world. We've had a couple chicken dinners. We've gotten there. But when I
got
play a shooter,
second. God damn it.
but when we play a shooter, there is a certain thing about you that wants to really come out on top. And
Well, I mean, that's any competitive game.
Oh
yeah,
my god.
it really is. And that game really tempers your expectations about it because after 10 rounds of playing, you know that is not a serious way of doing it. There are so many ways of going through that game. There's so many variables, all of that. I love it. It's great, but I find it more stressful, relaxing. to play it all.
We're not going.
Oh,
we're
yeah.
not going into deep dive on PUBG right now.
No,
Um,
I didn't think so. I was saying
that's,
it's more. It's not a relaxing game.
One thing I do want to talk
Don't
about,
tease me.
Mike. I'm about to tease you, and because I know
real
that
deep in there.
Overwatch just had a free play weekend,
Yeah.
and I kind of got you into it a little bit, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
And
you did.
I'm a support class, and I've been a support class in
Support
pretty
for
much
life.
pretty much every game that I've played. It's because my friends are assholes and they don't like to play support classes, and so they all want to play DPS, and I get
Excuse
stuck
me.
in support.
we're
Besides
assholes.
Tyler was my support buddy. And when I
I'm the
say
yin to your
assholes,
yang, man.
yeah, and when I say assholes, I say that lovingly. And but I drug you in. I said it's a free play weekend.
Whoa,
it
you
really
drugged him?
sounds. Yes,
Yeah, baby.
I gave him some
Was it
GHB,
NyQuil or
um,
okay?
a couple of roofies, and I said play Overwatch, and that's what he did. And it was funny because we played a couple games after he had downloaded it for the free play weekend. I went and did something, I can't remember what, but I came back a couple hours later and I was like, hey Mike, you want to jump on Overwatch? And he's like, I bought it. And I was like, I fucking knew it. And
Yeah.
so, you know, it's fun too because Mike has been a PC gamer for as long as I can remember. And, you know, Xbox and that has always been his secondary. And, you know, so shooters and things like that are no foreign territory to him. But, you know, maybe the mechanics and the kind of MOBA-esque abilities and cooldowns and things like that, maybe. Because you're not a big MOBA person, are you?
No, not really. Actually, that's kind of why I was surprised I liked it. 'Cause I honestly don't like MOBAs at all. But Blizzard makes a good title, man.
Blizzard, it's
Polished.
got that Blizzard polish on it. And what I did was I came in with my best character, and that's Mercy, and I hate to say it because the Mercy mains can fuck off. And but you know,
That's
I gave
you.
him, that is me,
Great
and I can
cartoon
fuck
titties.
off. And
I I like that hair.
I like that hair and that German accent, man. It gets something going.
I read
But-
the lore. She's Swiss.
Oh, she's Swiss, but she speaks German.
Yeah, it's because she's
Yeah,
got holes in her that I can
all
put my.
Swiss speak the German, yeah.
Inga dinga dung.
So
She has holes in her that I can put my. Yeah.
Oh my!
I want that as a ringtone.
well, luckily we were all quiet, so I can isolate that and we can get it distributed as a ringtone. So
yeah.
you know, we went on and I was Mercy and I pocketed Mike for a couple of rounds, and you know, it was just I was overwhelmed with a joy that I hadn't had in Overwatch in so long, because Mike was brand new to this game, a level 1, a fresh spawn, if you will, and he was, you know, running around just throwing lead down range and just running into opponents and taking them 1v3, and because he had a pocket, you know, that thing is possible, and because he's got a pocket with like 1,400 hours of experience, that thing is possible. But my point is, I was overwhelmed with this joy of hearing somebody else you know, go, oh my god, did you see what I did, and look at this play, and posting plays in our Discord and all that other stuff, and just having so much fun with this game that it was insane. And you know, there's not been a game like that for me for years and years, since probably, I don't know, before we were recording game clips. It was probably, you know, Halo 1 that joy came out in me for games, because I mean, I'm a cynical guy. I'm a pessimist, and everything sucks, everybody sucks, you guys all suck, you know that. And,
Halo's bad.
And I mean, it was just,
Oh my dear God!
what are you dear godding about?
No.
You just said Halo's bad.
No, I didn't.
No, Tyler did.
Tyler did.
Tyler did.
He just yelled, "Halo's bad!" Then he muted himself.
You guys have hit
I might
Dark
have to-
Souls, you have hit C3, and you have hit Halo 9. I'm fucking done.
Halo's
didn't like
not
Halo
bad.
either.
Yeah, that's because you like racing games and fucking Euro Truck Simulator 2. Get the
What
fuck
the
outta
hell is
here.
wrong with that game?
Everything.
It's
What's
alright,
wrong
fuck
with that
off.
game?
Euro Truck Simulator.
Euro Truck's good. Euro Truck's good.
I have a friend in Tyler and no one else.
Anyways,
No, you got me. You got me. I'm backing you up.
my point is
Yeah, you
that
are to the trailer.
bringing
Look
it
up.
all
They
the
can
way
drive it.
back around, all the way back around to my beginning argument is games should be about joy. And Mike, you kind of reignited a fire that I haven't had in a long time to play this game and get better at a character, because I want to be able to support other characters and be a part of a supportive community instead of a toxic community in gaming, which is a real plague right now. And
Mike, tell me.
and I don't know what else to say. It's just a real. Has anybody else had that experience with a game?
Yeah, Mike gives me a hard on.
Yeah,
Oh, wait,
Mike.
what?
Mike gave me a giant boner, a
I was-
giant gaming boner.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Rocket League. Rocket League's a good example.
Yeah,
Stellaris.
Rocket
Oh, yeah.
League.
What about Stellaris for Ty?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be good too, yeah.
And
No,
when I got
yeah.
all you fuckers to buy Divinity, because you were like,
Hey,
You didn't
No,
tell me
I
it was
didn't like it.
$45.
I did not buy Divinity randomly one night when I told you guys I wanted to buy it.
you,
bought the next
you
night.
bought it after all of your friends bought it and were raving about it. You waited for the reviews to start pouring in.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, review
Fine.
scrub.
Ooh,
I just want
we're
to say
back on
this.
the reviews.
I
want a
just
good
want to
return
say
on
this.
investment.
I haven't bought it, and I haven't read any reviews on it, and you guys have talked about it, and I fuck that game.
You should probably put your dick in it. It's nice. You'd like
Yeah.
it.
Keeps you warm.
You'll
at night.
lose your dick. Trust me. But
Yeah.
I don't want to lose it. Is it true if you don't use it, you lose it?
Yeah.
Let me
absolutely.
check.
yeah, so
Yeah,
use it
That's
once.
true. Can't confirm.
I also want
Hey,
to point out
fella.
Sevy got a full sentence in
Oh
our
my
podcast,
god.
and we finally got it.
No, Sevy was prominent early on. I was scared. I jumped in my chair a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes in early, but doesn't last a while.
Yeah.
Story of his life.
The elusive eighth man, Severin. There you go.
You know, on the flip side
Sounds
of that,
good.
to counterpoint, Fox, your you really enjoying getting a new player in and supporting me and letting me learn the game like that. From a new player perspective, I was really hesitant to try it specifically because it's really late for somebody to get into Overwatch
Oh,
right now.
absolutely.
And,
Yeah,
I
well,
was
and
super intimidated by it, and it was nice to have somebody, as you say, in the pocket, just keeping me alive. Because then I was able to kind of figure out some of the mechanics and some of the maps on my own, and then with a healer behind me the whole time, making sure I could, not get completely bent over by every mistake. I actually learned it pretty quickly, and then I started posting some of those highlights where you and I were just taking on entire teams together, like
Yeah.
Reinhardt Mercy combo. It was
I mean,
awesome.
it's insane, but at the same time, I almost feel like I'm setting you up for failure a little bit, because if you ever do
No.
go play on your own, it may not
Dude.
be that way. And that may turn you off a little bit. And that was one of my biggest things
No.
is that, the not
well, I
having
think if
a pocket.
you're playing Overwatch by yourself, you're doing it wrong.
That's not true at all.
I'm coming
I
from
play
I'm
Overwatch
coming
by
from
myself
ranked
every day.
Counter Strike.
Oh,
I
yeah.
come from ranked Counter Strike,
Yeah.
so there's really no more disappointment than I could have already experienced from that.
You already hate yourself.
I've already hit the bottom, rock bottom.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I wanted to highlight that joy that I felt as a cynical pessimist person, that like, Overwatch community is famous for being so goddamn toxic all the time.
It's not just Overwatch; it's all
Oh,
MOBAs.
and I understand
Yeah.
that, but Overwatch has been so huge for the past year.
Actually, it's just the fucking internet. Fuck you, internet.
Yeah,
Well,
internet.
I played with you guys, and it was awesome. Mike was so fucking amped up about the game, and it got me going. I'm like, yeah, let's play
God
another
damn it.
round.
Am
And
I
it's-
buying Overwatch
into
on
it.
PC?
No,
It's-
you really should, because
It's,
Damn it.
it's so much fun because
Well,
I
there is
I
6
have
PC players here.
after
six player parties.
after
Oh,
my 1,400 hours into the game between console and PC, I've got the ability to. And Spencer came over to the house the other night, and I was playing. I think I was playing with Mike, and
Yeah, you were.
I was darting around the screen and keeping a ton of people alive. I was solo healing as Mercy, and after I had exited the game and we decided to go to the bar, when we were walking to the bar before we went to the bar or whatever, he goes, I've played Mercy, but I've never played Mercy like that before. And
It was ridiculous.
That makes me feel good, because it means that I've got a high understanding of the character, and it's something that I take pride in, is being good at something, as a person playing video games. But it also makes me happy, because I can create this joy in somebody about a game that they're coming into that they may have been intimidated about, but they also feel good having a person that can keep the whole team alive, and them. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's hard to put into words.
Right. I have something great that happened 2 days ago. Want to hear? You want to hear my thing?
Yeah, we
was
have
it sex?
No.
Damn it.
we have a
No,
podcast. We don't get to have
no,
sex.
I'm just sad. Thanks, Tyler. No, so as we all know, I've been playing Destiny.
Yeah?
A lot. Still playing. Still going strong. Well,
Wait, the
I
stripper?
started
How
my.
many frames?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh,
So
was it 30?
I started a new character, a second character, a hunter. I was around, I think I was level 14 or whatever, and Max, our buddy Max, jumped in randomly, and Max,
Who?
Battle Jesus.
Who?
Shut your mouth. So we
I'll give it
it
my
was like
challenge.
I was level 14 or whatever. I refused to get on the mic because I'm watching Game of Thrones on my tablet while playing. So he's just kind of around, just helping me out a little bit, running through the story missions. I went from level 14 to 20 with his help, and then I, with my second character, got a higher power level than his main. So he was really upset. So he helped me spend 3 or 4 hours helping me power level. No, not necessarily power level. But then I hit level 20, and then I'm now, my secondary character is now more powerful than Max. Made him sad, made me feel good.
So how does this relate to bringing joy to somebody in the
Joy
gaming
is
world?
joy
You
to
killed
me.
him.
Joy to me.
Joy to you selfish prick.
Oh my god.
Go back to your console.
Oh my god. You know
I don't
what?
have to go back. I'm already playing right now.
You guys know what we should talk about though?
What?
Before we divulge the
Not,
divinity.
not Divinity. If that's,
No,
what you're, if that's
Overwatch.
what you're thinking about. I do want to say. I
got
do want to
stories.
say. I do want to say that with I know a lot of people follow the Overwatch community and the Overwatch League and things like that, and I know I mentioned that Sinatra had been signed to $150,000 a year as a 17-year-old kid, making that kind of money plus winnings throughout the tournament and everything. Overwatch poster boy for since it came out, since the beta, everybody's known this guy. His name is Brandon Larnd. He goes by Seagull, and he was a top tier Team Fortress 2 player. He just got signed by the biggest team in the West as their 7th player, and he signed with Envious. So he's playing with the likes of Taimu and Mickey and Harry Hook. It's insane to me that he would come back. He took a step down from NRG to focus on his stream because, I mean, I jumped on his stream the other night watching, and within the first 5 minutes he had like 14,000 viewers, and that's insane. That's absolutely insane. He has more viewers than an Overwatch World Cup game has on Twitch, and he came back to the league because this league is paying people $50,000 a year minimum, plus housing, plus food, plus game winnings.
Less than a streamer would make.
I understand that, but you got to think that. I mean, is it really though? Because I mean, how many streamers?
100%.
How many streamers post their
the viewers
their
that
income
Seagull
online?
has? With the viewers that Seagull has, he's making at least 4 times that.
I mean, then what was
the reason he's joining Envy for his love of the competitive nature of the game and nothing more.
Yeah. The guy
and
can sit
I
around and stream
absolutely
and
agree
be
with that. You know,
just making bank, but he's also extremely talented. He's not just a good streamer.
But he can,
he's
he can also
good.
stream and play on Envy.
right? I mean, he can stream
yeah.
like his scrims and stuff like that, and when he's practicing, because I mean, they're required to play something like 6 or 7 hours a day of this game to just stay on top of everything. And the big thing about Seagull is he's always displayed on his streams the ability to think forward. Like, he sees things that are going to get nerfed or buffed in advance, and he plays his character like that's going to happen, and that's what's kept him at top tier for so long. And that's why teams have been after him for so long. And
the guy is, when it comes to actually like executing an Overwatch, he is just dominant.
I mean, if anybody wants to see like a Genji, if you know what a Genji is, if anybody wants to see a Genji main just go nuts, go watch Seagull. If anybody wants to see an Ana play nutty, just go watch Seagull. It's insane. He's one of the best players, and he's not. You've got your Sure4s and your XQCs and those people of the world that, get tilted super easy and they start raging on stream and they just yell at everybody, or they're a one-dimensional player. But I've never seen a flex player like this come into
You're getting technical.
a game.
You're getting technical.
I know I'm getting
You're losing me.
This is we're an hour and 30 minutes in. I feel like if anybody's still listening, they understand technicalities.
Yeah, that's true.
We've broken the audience and we will go forward.
Exactly. This is like minute 47 of Divinity.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
No.
Nope, not even close.
Minute 47, you're just learning what it's about.
You're not even learning. You're still watching the opening cutscene.
I'm 38 hours in, and I'm still learning about that game.
Fuck that
I'm
game.
gonna be 38
Combine
hours
skill
into you.
books.
Fuck that game then. You know what?
No.
You know how we ended last week's podcast about
Xbox One X being the only place to play?
about being the only place to play by yourself. We
At 24 frames per second.
well, you know what? The human eye can only see 2.4 frames per second, so it's
Yep.
it's a fact.
Yeah.
It's science.
It's facts.
My life is a slideshow, and I'm okay with it.
Phil Spencer, if you're listening to this podcast, prove to me that the Xbox One X is better than my PC. Come at me!
Come at me, bro. Come
Prove
at
it's
me.
better than me or Mike's PC.
Or mine, even.
So I kind of want to end this podcast on I really want to go play Overwatch now. After talking about it, I really want to go play Overwatch now. We're at an
I do
hour
too.
30.
I'm in the
and-
process of
Yeah.
buying it right now.
Buy it, do it.
I'm
You'll-
addicted to pinning people as Reinhardt.
Oh
so-
my god, dude! Watching
You can
Mike,
pin me all night.
just his laugh when
Is
he
that good,
pins
Charlotte?
people and he
I'm
just
addicted to you.
swings that giant hammer as Reinhardt.
Oh my
it,
God.
it brings joy to my
It's a
soul.
maniacal
It is. It's what
Mhm.
wakes me up in the morning and gets me out of bed. Thank you, Mike.
Is it what wakes you up before you go, girl?
It's what wakes me up before I go.
It's
And
a rocket-powered
on,
hammer.
on
Just
on
talking
this
about it, I'm
note,
sick to midnight.
I think we're gonna say a couple of things more. Fuck Nintendo.
Fuck them. Hey,
fuck
hey,
them.
Tyler. Tyler. I just sent you a piece of paper. What does that say?
Tony Hawk was better.
That's exactly what it said.
It doesn't say it. It says fuck them. It
Just
says
fuck 'em.
fuck them.
But it is.
Bethesda, make a new Elder Scrolls game. Overwatch, keep doing what you're doing. Mercy changes are great. Roadhog changes are great. Your game's fucking great. It's great.
Also, Dark Souls is good. Skate 3 is good.
Both of those games. You
I'll get my
shut
time.
your
I'll
goddamn
get my time.
mouth, Mike.
I'll get my time. And when I get my time, Mike, you'll be very sorry.
Anybody got anything else they want to end on?
I'm good.
Obama was a lizard.
Your mom was a lizard?
Oh,
Oh, Obama was a lizard, not your mom was a lizard.
I had to take a
I
quick
understand
bathroom
now.
break, but for those of you following along at home, my video card MSRP's for more than an Xbox One X.
Yep, same here.
Yeah.
I think mine does. I'm not sure. It's a potato.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, your 1080 Ti is like what, $2?
Yeah,
I bought a
your
Roomba a
1080
couple
Ti.
months ago. I think that's worth more than an Xbox.
You did. I also
You
have a
rich
Roomba.
bitch.
Amazon cart. So, yeah, let's say goodnight to everyone. Josh.
Anybody got anything else they want to end on?
You know what I'm going to say.
2000 Honda's
You know what
born.
I'm going to say.
I know what you're gonna
I'm-
say, and
I'm pretty-
and that's
I'm-
why I'm gonna mute you now. I muted him. I muted him.
The,
He's
the
muted.
best place to play video games
Is the PC.
It's
On
with
the
your
flat
friends.
Earth.
Spencer,
Brian is
you're
not
you're
wrong.
unmuted now. What did you have to say?
I'm also pretty drunk right now.
Yeah. Sorry,
Spencer, we
did
love
say-
you, and you'll be on the PC gaming world soon enough. You'll be a better person
yeah.
for it.
Unless
Yep.
you waste money on an Xbox One.
Yep.
X.
I'm not.
Don't do it.
I'm still getting that too.
Why?
Don't do it.
You could get a better PC.
Don't do it.
Why do
All
you
right,
hate
we're not
yourself?
gonna delve into PC specs
Okay,
right now.
Okay.
Tony Hawk
Spencer.
is better.
Tony
Spencer,
Hawk,
what are your words?
Tony Hawk
You're
is
right.
better than Overwatch. We're all going
Dark
to play
Souls
Overwatch.
and Halo are bad.
Dark Souls and Halo are good.
I like Dragon Age 2.
Dragon Age 2 was. Toy Story 2 was okay. Bye!
Call of Duty is the best multiplayer game ever.